Welcome everyone to another video in our Bryan Fundamental series where I try to get better at Bryan day by day and bring you along for the ride. So today we're continuing our Lars labbing by looking into his Dynamic Entry 3. So this is the Dynamic Entry 3. From Lars's perspective, is this situation. So you probably see this happen a lot where the Lars will play really far away and then next thing you know, they are right in your face like this, right? They go really far away, and this move covers a ton of distance, and then they can end up right in your face like this. So this is a very interesting move. People have referred to this since season 1 as like a bit of a god move because it does so much. Like also on hit it does that, which means that if he's in heat, you know, I believe, let's see if I do it correctly, like he can launch you for it as well. I think that's launch. It might just be a knockdown, but the point being that it gives him so much on this move, not to mention it's tracking mid, covers so much distance, and because of that, Lars is pretty good, especially in Season 2. So we will be seeing this move a lot, and while I can talk about why the move may be problematic, I think it's also important to just note this is a really good move. Lars is getting popular, and so we need to know what is happening in this perspective, especially as a Bryan player, for figuring out what we're going to do in that situation. Okay, so let's start. So with that, we'll basically break down what is going on with the mix-up, the kind of the standard things that he can be doing, and what we can be doing to hopefully prepare against that, and then where the mind games might develop from there. So, yeah, let's get started. Hey, Rox, good to see you. Hope your Sunday's going well. So, for starters, it's +5 on bot. That's the part that really matters, and now I'm going to pan over, and it puts him into silent entry. That's the other bit that I need to put. And it goes into silent entry, right? So this is the main, and I don't think he gets a cancel of any kind. This is going to put him into silent entry. So the one thing that we can kind of count on is that he will be in this stance to begin with when we start playing this mix-up game. So let's go through some options now. So for starters, let's look at the silent entry options. When Lars, and this I realize is pretty small, but if we look at his silent entry moves, if he's +5, okay, then silent entry, pretty much everything on this list is going to be a frame trap, with the exception of silent entry 2, which is a low, and silent entry 4, which is a tracking high, right? And it's plus. So with that being said, if our opponent sees us match, like our opponent can start with 3+4. 3+4 is a really good situation because if we record him to do this sequence now, like that, and we look at that frame trap sequence, oops, I lost it. No, I did not. Obviously, if we mash with like a jab, we're gonna get countered. If I go to the right, I get countered. And if I go to the left, I get countered. I do not have time to step this move in any way. And we discovered, I believe, this happens if we power crush. So there's really nothing we can do about this move, I believe. I can't even grab it, okay? The only recourse we might have is rage. Let's go ahead and try that for the sake of this, of being thorough here. Okay, but he's aerial. See how he's aerial? So we don't even get like a significant amount of damage here, right? That's 42 damage of a rage, which means we've lost like, you know, 20 damage or something. So this is why the starting neutral of a Lars using this move is more than likely, in my experience, going to start, or at least kind of focus on this move. And the reason for that, too, is it's force crouch and 0. it's not even unsafe for him. And because of that, most Lars are going to do this. Now, the thing is, for Bryan specifically, Bryan being 0 and forced crouch isn't a bad situation to be in. We already talked about on the channel about how being -1 and forced crouch after our down back 3, and even -2 if he blocks. Being -2 after our down 2 are all situations that already aren't that bad for Bryan, right? So because of that, being 0 in force crouch is actually not bad. This means that now all of our while standing 3s are going to be counter hitting every type of mid he does. Like if he does, a good example of a sequence that he could be doing is he can go that into a down, like a down 1-1, down 4-1-1, right? To try and like continue the sequence here. Something like this, right? And in this situation, we have while standing 3. This is actually pretty good. And let's say, instead of doing that, he decides that he's going to go for the 1-1-1. He's going to do the frame trap, well, not a frame trap, but like the 10 frame version, right? So, and now he goes for 1-1, goes for this, right? He's trying to, again, get something big here. If we do that while standing 3, we're going to get beat out because that's 10 frames. But we can northern cross. And now we have actually a pretty high damage. Like, you see that? We got a 43 damage situation off of that with Oki. So we're actually in a pretty good spot because we can deal with that full crouch situation, and they removed the they finally allow us to sidestep into the foreground when we are crouched. So this is not bad of a situation to be in. However, I think that from our perspective, just starting with just playing that mind game afterwards is totally fine, right? We're not super worried about the chip damage here. Like, let's look at what his chip damage is. That's a decent amount of chip damage, right? It was like about 15, right? But the situation after is fine. Now, if we are in this situation for a long enough time, the Lars might start doing something else. And this is where we think, from their perspective, right? What are you going to do? What are you going to do if your opponent's just blocking it, right? What could you do? I'm going to pause for a second. What I think is a low, right? I think you would start considering doing a low. Now, what is interesting about this low is that this low still tracks. So there's no reason for us to start, like, let's record it. Right? So we have, see, it tracks us that way. Oh, and actually we can go to the left. Okay. I learned something. Oh, look at this. Are you kidding me? So maybe, why am I sucking at this today? You should be able to get a back turn. Let's try it one more time. Whoa, he ducked it there. So nice, right? But notice how he's sometimes ducking after, so I wonder what that is all about. Let's try and update this. Speed rolls, yeah, we're trying a new schedule right now. Alright, we're going to stay ducking for a second. So now let's see what happens. Oh, okay. So maybe we can go for this. So maybe something like that. Did they get rid of that? No, it's still there. Okay. Alright, so I know Speedballs, today is not one of those days, unfortunately. But this is what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, he can definitely get out of that. But the idea is that, okay, we already have something like this that is a thing that we can consider doing, right? So let's go back to this situation here, and we'll actually let's make a fresh one. and start looking at some like counterplay, right? So Lars DEN3 mind game. We'll say start with Sin 3 plus 4. If we block, perhaps they go for a low. Sin 2, right? So this is sidestep left, forward back turn. So this is a situation that I think is actually kind of interesting. Yeah, there's inconsistencies with the punishment, which is why I'm thinking that it's coming up with something a little bit better, like this is not bad, right? Like that could be better. Thanks, Jet. I liked it as well. It kind of makes them a lot easier to read and easier for me to... I don't know why I didn't do this earlier, so apologies about that. Pretty decent. 65 damage off that, right? So that's... I feel good about that, right? So let's turn this off. So now we might be doing silent entry too. And just to see, notice if I go for a jab, he goes under it. If I do a down 4-2, he beats me to it. The only real, like, big read you can make here is orbital, right? But I do want to bring up that, like, if we are doing, we can basically do, you can basically do that, or you can do orbital, right? And maybe low parry, right? Let me see. So I'll put like side select forward back turn. So like maybe there's an option select where we can like I don't know. Like can we option select this sequence? So let's try both of these. I don't know if you can. I don't think so, but you might be able to. Let's see. I think you could probably fuzzy guard this. Yeah. So this could be an option select sequence you can do, but I don't know if it's consistent. Yeah, it seems hard, but like you can probably train yourself to fuzzy guard it, and the reason I think that is because the fast move is 13 frames fast, and this one is 17 frames fast. There's a 4-frame difference, so if you can feel out that difference, I think there's a option select opportunity here if you're really sharp. But if you want to make that read, you know, they're starting to go for the silent entry 2s. This is another way you can do it. Now, what else could they do? This is where we get into greedier stuff, right? So, what about that? Like, you could start putting yourself into limited entry, right? So, which is actually... Yeah, there you go. You can also, if you think they're going to mash, do this. So I think that, from the mashing perspective, I think that if we are only blocking most of the time here, our opponent is probably not going to get too crazy unless they're looking to do something like this, right? And those are the ones where I'm kind of curious, I guess, because like if they're in heat, right, I could see a Lars in heat doing this because there's quite a bit. If your opponent is, if you think your opponent is still going to, if you're kind of in that mindset of my opponent is still going to be blocking, right? Well, now, like this is actually a pretty good situation to be in because you go a little bit slower, and if I'm still blocking, that's a decent amount of damage, right? Now, what can I do here? Like, you could sidestep if you're thinking of low, and then you see them do that instead, right? You could maybe go for like a forward 3, but that doesn't really do anything. What would you do here? Oh, can you react to this? You might be able to. Like, let's look at that. So let's try these two together. Maybe. So I'm looking for... Oh, man, you can react to it. So see this? That's pretty crazy. Like, it's not easy, but you can definitely do it. And with Bryan, it's like kind of easy. That's crazy. So maybe we go with this, right? Like, that's actually kind of an interesting idea. So now let's put that in here, right? Like, you can also do like limited entry transition for low mid mix. This, let's see, like react with port 3, right? Maybe this is the idea of what we're going to be doing in that situation. So maybe we can drill that kind of reaction where you can see as soon as he goes into the limited entry in that situation. And now we're in a situation where we're kind of, well, what am I trying to say? Like, we're in a situation where we can just sit here and react, and we can be the one in control, right? I actually really like that as well. That's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. So, okay. So I think I feel pretty good about this. I think that what I would like to do from a recording standpoint is we're going to do two things. The first one is we're going to set up a few of these recordings and kind of create a drill out of this, right? I don't need to pad for time on this one. Like, I think I feel pretty good about this. Let's go ahead and just like not wrap things up, but like get things into a drill and think about how I would practice this today. So we have this one, and we have the limited entry one. What I think would also be a good one to do is just each of the silent entry moves afterwards, right? Normally I would say, no, this is not what you want to be doing, but because you're kind of priming your brain for it. But this is a situation where actually this is where the move appears more often than not. So I think it's actually pretty appropriate for it. So we'll do all of them. And I think that this actually will get us also, if your opponent like kind of starts doing things like this, we'll be able to punish the moves and be able to actually kind of fight back against anything crazy that they do if they start getting very kind of varied essentially with their options here. Balance plus. Oh. Oops. One thing also I'm noticing is that most of these options are just minus 13. So that's actually pretty interesting to know. It's like either it's minus 13 or it's safe or something, you know? I'm also going to check the silent entry 2 for a second here, or 1 for a second here, because I want to see if I can step this, and I cannot. So this one can't be stepped. That can't be stepped. 3 might be steppable, but do we care? Oh wait, that's 2. You can step that, but only to the left. Okay. This is the tracking one. So that one you definitely can't step. And then finally have this. Yeah. So, like, it just doesn't seem to make sense to try and step against that situation. So really, we could just sit here and block. block everything, react to the Lionheart, not Lionheart, the limited entry transition, and then punish the -13 moves when they come out. And I think this will actually just make us very solid against that pressure so that we won't feel like we are being bullied. And I think that to me is all we need to do in that situation. Is just getting used to blocking and getting used to not panicking in that situation because we don't need to match. So I think that is what I'll be practicing today while I'm in my ranked matches. But no need to drag this on any further, so let's go ahead and do our YouTube sign off for this segment of the video. So if you're coming from YouTube, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. We love seeing new people show up. And if you ever want to watch it live, it's going to be at twitch.tv/VonTiban. That's VONTIBAN. We stream Tekken Bryan on Saturdays and Sundays, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time now. So come check us out there. The first hour is where we are going to put any of our labbing that we do for the day. And then the next 2 hours are going to be our ranked. So if you didn't catch any of that, that's going to be in our description down below, as well as a link to our Discord, which is where I keep all of our channel announcements around stream changes, schedule changes, any updates, whatnot, as well as a community where our players can, share notes together and commiserate about Season 2 or congratulate each other on great wins. So with that being said, I hope this helps in your Lars labbing, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.